Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. And today, I kind of wanted to talk about uh, daily ships. Now, with Alpha 320 uh, kind of confirming the release of the C1 in a further patch, a 320.x patch, it kind of means that the C1 is going to enter the mix of ships that a lot of players are going to consider as a new daily ship. Right now, the Cutlass Black is a very popular ship to use daily. Now, whether that's to, buy with real money or buy in game, let's say you have something like a cutter and you've, been doing missions in the game and you've made enough money to eventually down the road, when the C1 becomes available in game, buy it in game and add it to your fleet, should you choose the C1 or the Cutlass or the Freelancer. Now you might notice here that we also have the 400i, and the reason why I want to throw the 400i into the mix is because size wise it's not too far off from the C1. The C1 is kind of a really big ship, and if you compare it to the Freelancer and the Cutlass, you could really see the scale of this ship. Now, size matters when it comes to a daily. Do you want to be running around some giant ship, or do you want to be able to just get in and get out and do whatever you want to do quickly? So that's why a lot of people prefer smaller ships to kind of do daily activities. I remember when the Halloween mask event was going on and a lot of players were running around to different outposts, going through different loot boxes. The ship that I actually used during that event was the Banu Defender, because it has good armament, good shields, it's easy to get in and out of, and it has storage. So that, and I think the Nomad during that time were the two ships that I went to the most, was the Banu Defender and the Nomad, because they were very easy to get in and out of. Now, most of these ships, I probably would say, not as good for an event like that. Again, you would want to ideally take a smaller ship if you're doing a lot of travel, but the main benefit of these ships is, they're gonna have more range. You look at something like the Avenger, or like a light fighter, it's going to be very difficult, especially with Pyro coming along. I don't know if Pyro is going to come with 4.0 at the end of the year. It looks like a lot of people are alluding to that. But if you have a starter ship right now, something like the Cutter, something like the 100i, those ships, they're just not going to be able to do the long distance jumps that you need to in Pyro. Okay, you're gonna need a ship with a lot more fuel than that, a lot more range than that. You're gonna need something, again, with a bed to log out in, which a lot of the starter ships have, but you're gonna want a little bit more creature comforts. So again, that's why I kind of to the 400i. Now the 400i is kind of in a different class. 400i is in the same class, according to CIG anyway, as the MSR and the Corsair and the Constellation. So that class of ship is kind of one step above this class of ship, which I kind of think there needs to be more ships in this class. And having the 400i in this list, I think the 400i honestly sits in between this class and the MSR class. So the MSR, the Constellation, and the I guess you could throw the Freelancer Max in there as well. They, in my opinion, because they have a little bit more cargo, a little bit above the 400i, and they also have a little bit more vehicle space as well. I don't think you can. I think you can fit a Cyclone in a 400i. I don't think you can fit an Ursa Rover in a 400i. And ships like the MSR, the Constellation, and the Freelancer Max, they can fit an Ursa Rover in the back. But the 400i, the Spirit, the Cutlass Black, Freelancer, they can fit like a Cyclone size ship in them. But realistically, I think we could use another ship in this class of ship to kind of compete with the Freelancer and the Cutlass. So the C1 is a good addition. I think we could, use another manufacturer to go after them. Maybe Consolidated Outland might have a ship in this class, because Consolidated Outland has the Nomad and the Mustang, but the Nomad, I would say, is a little bit below this class. It has less cargo capacity, but the Nomad can fit an ROC in the back, so you can do rock mining and that type of thing. But I still kind of see it as a ship that's kind of a little bit below this class, because it also has a lot less shields, a lot less firepower. So there's a lot of different ships that kind of, exist within the range but aren't exactly comparable. I would say that the C1, the Cutlass Black, and the Freelancer, they're directly comparable to each other. So for now, we're gonna leave the 400i in here so I can just kind of compare, but it's not something that you're really considering, because the 400i is a lot more expensive in game and out of game. But yeah, so size wise, we're looking at 46 meters, 37 meters, 38 meters. Okay, and you guys can check this out. This website is Fleet Yards. I'll leave a link to it in the video description if you want to compare ships on your own. But this is really a good way to visualize what that looks like. The C1 is a very large ship. Now, if you're looking at the interior space, this part up here where my mouse is, this is kind of just like the design of the ship. The interior back ramp ends about right here. So this extra length, this extra, I don't know how much this would be, maybe 5-7 meters, is not really the interior. But cargo capacity wise, these four ships are pretty comparable, because the 400i only has 42 SCU of cargo. I mean, that's why I really struggle with the 400i. It's a great ship, but in my opinion, it's just really not in the same class as the MSR, the Corsair, and the Constellation. The Connie, I believe, has 96 SCU of cargo. The MSR, I think, has 114. The Freelancer Max has 150. They all have between 90 and 150 SCU of cargo, but then the 400i only has 42. So it's like, how are you going to compare ships that have 50 to 100 more SCU of cargo with a ship that only has 42? Okay, they're also much larger than 400i, but the 400i is a good package. It's just, I don't know, it's hard to compare. So the C1 Spirit, 48 SCU, Cutlass Black, 46 SCU, the Freelancer, 66 SCU. So the Freelancer here is coming out with the most cargo capacity. Misk is a very industrial brand, so they're definitely going to prioritize some different things with their ships. And again, these are all roughly 1 person to 2 person crew ships. 400i, you have 3 people that you can have on your crew there. Okay, speed wise, 400i is the fastest. We don't know how much this C1 Spirit is going to come in speed wise. Cutlass Black, second fastest. Freelancer, slowest. And then again, we have a lot more stats there. You guys can take a look at that, pause it, check it out for yourself. And then we got components across the board. Everything is medium with all these ships, until we get to the shield generator on the 400i, because the shield generator on the 400i is a size large. So you have a size 3 shield on the 400i, and that's the major difference. Is a jump from a size 2 to a size 3 is a lot more shield capacity. So that's kind of the only thing here that puts the 400i in a different class, is that large shield. If it had a medium shield or 2 medium shields, I would say it would be in this class. But the C1 Spirit has 1 medium shield, and the reason why CIG says it has 1 medium shield is because it's more maneuverable, so you'll be able to get away. I mean, you look at the size of this ship. The C1 Spirit is larger than the Cutlass and the Freelancer in just sheer volume by a significant amount. For it to be more maneuverable than these 2 ships, I kind of want to see what CIG comes up with for the handling of this ship. Yes, it has much larger wings, but I think that would equal more air resistance to be less maneuverable. Maybe more maneuverable in space, in atmosphere. It will definitely be able to glide longer. CIG is going to add atmospherics to the game, so control surfaces will matter. The Cutlass does have these winglets on the top, and the Freelancer has these winglets at the back, but they definitely have a lot less aerodynamic profile than the C1. But to me, these larger wings would make it more aerodynamic, but I don't know if it would make it more maneuverable, because if you wanted to kind of maneuver in combat, you want to have a little bit more freedom to kind of go around. I feel like these giant wings would just result in more wind resistance than anything else. But hey, I have no idea what the final flight model is going to look like. So yeah, the Freelancer has 2 size 2 shields. Again, the Cutlass Black has 1 medium, and the C1 Spirit has 1 medium. So the Freelancer has more shields, but the Freelancer is I think maneuverability wise it's kind of comparable to a Cutlass. A little bit slower, but comparable to a Cutlass, but it does have more shields, so you can kind of take a little bit more hits. And then of course everything here across the board is just medium fuel intakes. Well, you have 2 medium fuel tanks on the Freelancer, so you have more fuel capacity on the Freelancer. Again, the Cutlass Black has 1, and the 400i has 2 medium fuel tanks, and then everything else is just 1 medium. So with the Freelancer, you're gonna have more range than the Cutlass and the C1 Spirit. But yeah, thrusters, that kind of stuff doesn't really matter. And then we go into the weaponry. So this is kind of just a lot of information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to Urkel, and we can check these out. Okay, so now we're at Urkel. So we take a look at the DPS, take a look at what's going on here. So 1 2 3 4 CAG is updating the weapons mounts for ships in the game. This essentially means that we are going from having sized down mounts for gimbaled weapons to actual size weapons mounts for gimbals. So we're no longer going to be sizing down our weapons if we want them to be gimbaled. What's actually going to change is the fire rate. So if your weapons are gimbaled, they will have, so when you turn on the gimbal mode, they will have a slower fire rate. When you turn on the fixed mode, they will have a higher fire rate. But Oracle doesn't take that into account. But when you're setting up the weapons loadouts for your ships, now you can, instead of sizing down on Oracle, you can just do actual size. So right here on Oracle, it has the variable puck size 3 for the size 3 weapons mount, and then it gets sized down to the Scorpion Gatling. We don't have to do that anymore. So now what we can do in a situation like this is we can just go up here, we can get the Mantis, the size 3 Mantis. Okay, do that again, another size 3 Mantis. Over here we can take out the size 3 CF 337 Panther, pick up another Panther. Okay, so as you can see, the DPS went from like 1700 to almost 2100. Okay, and then of course if you go full power to weapons, you're at almost 2300. Yeah, you're at almost 2300 DPS. So that is going to be huge when the weapons mount changes comes into effect. I haven't really tested that in 320. I don't know if it's in 320, but this is going to be a big improvement, especially for ballistic weapons, because in this change I think there's also a rebalance to ballistic weapons, so ballistic weapons are going to have more ammo, which is a huge welcome change because everybody enjoys using ballistics. The only problem is they run out of ammo too soon. But yeah, I have the Cutlass Black here set up, and for all intensive purposes, we can use the Cutlass Black as the comparison with the C1. The only difference is this turret DPS here. We won't take that into account because of course the C1 does not have a turret. It has a tractor beam. So if you bring a friend along with the Cutlass Black, you will have more DPS. But if you're running the Cutlass Black solo, it's gonna be identical DPS to the C1 because you have the same weapons mounts. You have 4 size 3s. Okay, and the next one we're looking at is the 400i. Now the 400i has 2 turrets on the back. So if you bring 2 friends along with you, you have a lot of good DPS. I think those turrets only face backwards though. I don't think those turrets face forward. I think the bottom one could kind of shoot forward. It's one of those things where, in my opinion, the turrets on the 400i aren't really that useful, and I don't see anyone using them really in game. I never see people using the turrets on the 400i. So I could say you could kind of just ignore this number and focus on this number. This is the DPS that you have. Again, the weapons mount is going to actual size, so instead of having 2 size 3 Panthers, you will have 2 size 4s. And since ballistics is getting a major upgrade, I'm just gonna do something crazy. I'm gonna say, okay, let's put 2 AD4Bs on here. Crazy, 2700 DPS. Okay, I don't think anyone's really gonna run a 400i with 2 ballistic Gatlings, but realistically, you don't want to get in a fight with the 400i. It does have good shields, so let's say it does happen, you kind of want to get the most DPS on the enemy, and if you can't blow them up, run away with this ship. So I don't think this is a bad loadout, in all honesty. You know, realistically, if you get in a fight with a smaller ship, uh, you have the shields to kind of defend yourself and run away. So if you wanted to stay and fight again with the flight model changing, I have no idea when it's gonna happen. With master modes, you have to go into a essentially a combat mode where you have shields and weapons, but you're slower. So if you're going into that mode, getting into a fight with a smaller ship, it might make sense to have all the DPS possible. But realistically, you can, put some rhinos on there if you just want to have energy weapons. But again, in my opinion, that's not worth it, because your fire rate is gonna go down in gimbal mode, and you're at like 544 DPS. Like, you compare that to the Cutlass Black and the C1, it's not even comparable. The 400i just does not have the firepower to support it, which is crazy, which seems crazy, but it's not a combat ship. But that's why I think it's really hard. Now, okay, just to say, let's put the Corsair in here. Just like humor me for a little bit, okay? We got the Corsair in here. Now, with the weapons rework, we are going to actual size weapons. So these size 5s that the Corsair has, size 4s on right now, they're going to go to actual size. So what does that mean? Size 5 AD, AD5B. Okay, now they have the M6. You know what? Let's not even go that crazy. Let's just put the M7s on it, which has a Badger, and this size 4 is not going to change because that's a turret mount, so it's still going to keep with the size 2s. But look how much firepower you have. 2 size 4s, 4 size 5, 44, 30 DPS. That is pilot controlled. You compare that to the 400i's. Again, let's do crazy numbers and put the AD4Bs on there. 27 33s. Okay, so we have to be fair now, so we got to put the 85Bs on the Corsair. 9906. This thing is a monster when it comes to DPS. 9906. 4 size 5s. I mean, so now let's go back. Let's switch it up. Let's go. Where's it? RSI, Constellation Andromeda. Again, we're going actual size, so we're gonna put this size 5. Well, just imagine 485Bs on there. Again, the DPS is insane compared to the 400i. 27 33 55. Yeah, the 400i is not in the same class with the Constellation. Now the conversation is a little bit different if we go to talk about the MSR, okay? Because the MSR is pretty anemic, and again, it has that nose turret, so the actual size gimbal mount update is not going to change this. It is still going to have 2 size 3s. Even though it has a size 5 nose turret, the turret has 2 size 3 mounts on it, so that's not going to change. So the MSR is not going to get more DPS. Right now it has Panthers on there. You can put 2 Mantis on there to take it up to 1600, because ballistic weapons are getting a buff in ammo, so you could. But again, it's called a Mercury Star Runner. With this ship, you want to run away. Just don't get into combat fights. Don't do it. But we're talking about mid-range ships here. So the Freelancer again is getting actual size, but these mounts are locked, so you really just have two size threes. I mean, four size threes. So it is essentially the same loadout, DPS wise, as the Cutlass Black and the C1. Okay, four size threes. So this DPS is going to be consistent between the Cutlass Black, the C1, and the Freelancer. So it really comes down to the shields, in my opinion. The Freelancer having two size twos, you know, you're looking at 18,000 HP versus 9,000 HP with the single size two for the C1 and the Cutlass Black. So I mean, 18,000, that's double. That's a lot more shields that you have. And again, you have the same DPS as the C1, and yeah, so let's just do that Mantis on there, and the Panthers there. So yeah, 2,000, almost 100. But I mean, it's up to you guys. I think it's kind of like sometimes the Freelancer doesn't get as much love as it should. You compare the Freelancer to the C1, and the Freelancer also has a rear turret on the back here, so you got, you know, 615 DPS, two size two. They got badges on there, which is fine. You don't really need to change that. So if you're bringing a friend along, they can get into that turret and kind of help you out with any enemy. But the real advantage is that you have 66 SU of cargo, which is more than the Cutlass Black and the C1. And you have two size 2 shields, 18,000 HP. And you got the side door. The C1 only has one rear exit. The rear ramp is the only way to get in and out of. Sage, you confirm that. And the Cutlass Black has two side doors, which are very useful for EVAing, but you have to mantle and get in them, and it can be a pain in the butt sometimes. Freelancer has a side door with a ladder, so it comes out, you can get in and out very easily. It's easy for EVA, and it's also easy to just get around. The Freelancer, in my opinion, again, is an unappreciated ship, and for whatever bizarre reason, it can technically hold 4 players. It has the bunk beds in it. It has 4 seats in front, and it has 4 beds in it, which again is crazy for this size of ship. You know, it has all that cargo. 4 players can log out in it. Has a side door. It has 18,000 hit points. I mean, the same DPS as the Cutlass Black and the C1. Freelancer is, you know, kind of a tour de force type of ship. It's also the smallest one, the most compact. So if you're using it as a daily, that's something you have to consider. And it has the 2 medium fuel tanks, so it has more fuel than the Cutlass Black and the C1. More fuel, more shields, more cargo, smaller, compactor package, more beds for your friends to log out, and it has a turret. In my opinion, if you're going just purely off of the numbers, the Freelancer is still kind of like the king of this class. Now, in terms of aesthetics, the C1 is kind of killing it right now. I think the C1 is definitely the best looking of the bunch. And that kind of goes a long way with a daily. If you're going to use a ship on a daily basis, you want to like it. You want to look at it, put your favorite skins on it. The problem with the Freelancer is it's probably the least good looking ship out of the 3. The Cutlass Black has that kind of, you know, piratey vibe going on, and there's some pretty good skins for it. The freelancer, I don't know, it's just visually it's kind of tough, and a lot of people have a problem with the letterbox windshield. They don't really like the visibility out of it. Visibility is a major issue. The C1 and the Cutlass are gonna offer much better visibility than the freelancer if you're getting into a combat situation. And it's not like you could really fight in third person because you won't have your targeting computers. So realistically, even though it has more shields and the same DPS, you're not going to want to get into combat with a freelancer because the visibility is not as good. But yeah, I would say it's kind of up to you guys. I do own a C1 and I'm excited to see what it's like when it comes out. Of course, I'm going to do a review of it, check it out, put a video up for you guys so you can take a look at it. But anyway, this video has gone on long enough. I don't want to take up any more of you guys' times. The decision is ultimately up to you, but purely based off numbers, the C1's coming out. C1's exciting ship, but if you're gonna buy a ship in game to fit this role of a daily ship, I think the freelancer is kind of underappreciated here. Freelancer could be a good option for you, especially as a pickup in game. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What do you think about this class of ships, this format of video comparing different ship classes together, kind of you know, letting people know what options they have, kind of talking that over. I like this format of video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Anyway, that's gonna be it from me here today. Like I always say at the end of these videos, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will see you guys in the next one. Salute.